Now, when we're starting our image, okay? Now, like I said, I have two types of blades here. I got the blade that I prefer, this handle that's kind of, that fits the curve of my fingers and everything. But for the demo, I'm going to use this one for right now to start, because that's what you guys typically use. Now, when you're cutting your shapes, you want to start with the smallest areas first. So, when I'm cutting, I want to cut, so I'm going to start with this little circle. Now, when I turn that circle, notice I'm turning the blade really slowly, okay? You can also turn the paper. And then I try to pick it up. And as I do, I can lightly rub it and it will kind of pop out. Now those little ones are hard to get out. Now we also have small blades. Oops, I forgot to grab it. It's right here. So this blade is very tiny. You can just lay my keys just on the table there. And so it spins. So when I'm using this blade, I can get in there and it rotates for my cut. See, it's a tiny blade and it rotates. Okay, and it does for small areas, and also like if I was to do a bigger area, let's see, I'll do this one right here with it. And then when I turn the tool, it turns automatically. Kind of like, and it comes right out. Okay, so this is a fun tool, but those blades are a little pricey and they get expensive. And the way the blades are in this, let you see. Notice they're in a little tiny shell, okay? And then just slip it in like so. Put the top on, and there we go. And it's back on again, and it swivels still. You just make sure you don't get too tight that it won't swivel. Okay. Now, so we got two little cutouts. So now I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to kind of keep cutting out my shape. Now, I always pull the knife towards me. All right. And if I want to turn it, I just lightly turn the blade. I let the blade do the work. I don't try to force the cut. I let the cut kind of naturally come. Okay. Now, when you got little strips like this that you're going to be pulling, okay, I just kind of do them in sections. So I come up and around, behind there, and around. Now I'm going to get this little corner here. And when I'm cutting, whatever I cut, I always make sure that there's an out. So I want to make sure it can always have a connection for the center pieces. So that when you cut out a line, you don't lose everything. Now, and you also can see that some people like these big, gigantic box cutting knives. Those are fine if you're cutting things that are large and big shapes. But when we're doing these tiny, delicate areas, the X-Acto blade is the best blade to use, even with its big stuff. Because my stuff is huge sometimes, and I still use. Now, if you notice, like I said, I'm always cutting in towards me, but I never have my hands below my blade. It's always on the side or above. Okay. So now I'm going to keep going along this side right here. And notice I'm never picking this up and cutting it like a jigsaw, okay? Because that's the worst thing you can do when you're cutting. Okay? Now, I'm going to leave a little break there so it holds that piece together. And you could put tons of little breaks in and pull it out later or cut them out if you want to. But once you cut it, there's no going back to adding pieces. You don't want to put tape in there because tape doesn't work as well. I mean, if you're spray painting it on the side of a building kind of a feel, then it doesn't matter with the tape. But when we're printing it, you want to kind of have it all be in one gigantic piece. Almost to look like a lace is the goal. Okay, and so almost pulled that one little section out too far. Okay, now I'm going to use the big knife and show you the difference between, and I'm going to cut this area out here. So what I like about this knife, it's not sharp, it's not tight enough. There we go. Okay. This one helps my hand. It doesn't, because already my hand was starting to get a little tired with that one blade, but this really does help my hand. Yeah, it doesn't, I think as I've gotten a little bit older over time and how much I've done this over the years, I'm starting to get a slight arthritis. Because I do this all the time. When I'm in the studio, I'm cutting pieces of paper. Just see how that just popped right out? Yeah. Okay. So, I'm going to leave a little break in between this one. And so if I was in serious get this project done mode, I probably could knock this out in about 2 hours or so. But I'd be exhausted at the end of cutting that much. So I'm thinking it's going to take you a couple days to cut this.
There's so much.
Yeah, there is a lot there. Now see, I left a little break right here, so when I come in now, I can thin it down just a little bit. So, but I definitely want to kind of keep that gap there. Okay. I will say with this tool though, the blade doesn't want to bend as well. It is a little stiffer, but how many minutes are we at right now?
8.
Okay. When we get to 10, I'm going to definitely quit. Okay. So I got little areas that I just have to go back through and just kind of, so I'm just going to cut that. See if I can get that. There we go. That part popped out. If it doesn't want to come out, don't pull it out. Let it naturally fall out. Okay. And if there's any little areas you need to touch up, you can touch up on the sides now. Okay. Now his eye's starting to show up. So when we flip it over, we can look and see. You can start to see some of the portions of it. Okay, and how the dog's going to look. Now, what I like to do sometimes, since you still have your thing together, see, okay, and that kind of helps you understand those are the black areas. All right. So you can always put it against your template here to get that. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. So just start cutting, and then we'll go from